Hi, Caesar here. Today we're going to work on this armature. We're going to modify this horse armature and convert it into a armature for an elephant. This is the quarter scale armature sold by True Armatures. And basically it comes like this here. You can see I removed the legs already for the front. The rod here that held the horse's skull, I clipped it. Anyhow, what I'm going to have to do is take this apart. First, let's take off the remaining legs here. I will show you in a different video how I modify these legs here. The tail is going to end up being the trunk, so let's remove the tail. You need pliers for this here. It's kind of tough to get in here. So there's a nut here that holds everything down, but let me see if I can get away with not having to remove it right now. For the sake of the video here, I'm going to leave it intact. Otherwise, I'll be in midair trying to remove this here, and it may not be captured there. So straighten this out. And we're going to slide this section out. Sometimes it might be even easier just to take some wire cutters and snip it here. You know the hell with that. I'm just going to clip it here. Here also. And like I said, this will end up being our trunk. I'll insert it here and play with the trunk later. Since I kind of damaged this here when I removed that, clipped it here, was part of the neck, I'm gonna go ahead and insert this 1/4 inch aluminum rod here, wire I should say, more or less here, to give me the length I need to get something like this here. I could adjust this later. So let's remove the nut, and we're going to remove this here. These 1/2 inch rods have a notch in here where the wire falls in place. It's roughly it's a heavy 1/8 width, and this is 1/4 inch, so that means I got to take a file and file down the section to make it nice and flat, the same thickness as this here. What I've done here on my aluminum wire, I kind of marked more or less where this is going to fall in place. I'm going to take this here and grind both sides till I get to the thickness of the 1/8. I've taken my calipers and I measure this notch in there to figure out exactly how much I need to clear from this here. So I'm going to constantly measure back and forth till I get to that thickness. And I'm taking my file, and let's put something in the bottom here. I don't want all these shavings falling on my table here. I clamped this down with If you don't have a file, you don't really have to do it this way. You could take this outside and pound it with your hammer just to flatten this section down and get it to the correct thickness. Let's take a measurement. Oh, that'll work now. What we have here now is a flattened area on the wire, and that'll fit nicely into the slot here. And then I'll take my nut and tighten it, and that'll keep the armature in place. So let's move on. We're going to remove this from the pelvis bone, and we're going to insert the new one. Let's straighten this out. For now, we'll just temporarily lock it in place here. And just slide this into where we need it. And now I'm going to take my template here and figure out more or less where this pelvis needs to line up. It should be here somewhere, more or less. In fact, I'd do it this way so you could see it. That's pretty good there. So I'm gonna bring this down here, kind of lock it into place, and this is gonna serve as my tail. And let's see, how long of a tail do I need? Give or take right here. So I'm going to snap it right here. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take this and figure out where it needs to line up, and more or less right there, because that's where I have the hole and that's where the rod's going through. So right there. Now what I need to do is kind of figure out where I'm going to take a drill bit or a hot wire or a wand, whatever you have, to kind of tunnel through the foam. I have the other one lined up more or less right, coming out right here, and kind of let me look at the back, see where I have lined up. It's also about the same, so right here and right there. So the next thing what I have is a 1/4 inch drill bit. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is remove the nut. This is our front, back, and we're going to run the wire through the rib cage. Find our mark, and there it is. And we're going to insert our nut to secure it. Use some pliers to add some torque to it. Okay. And let's take another measurement, make sure everything's lining up. And these are being utilized to anchor it to prevent this from shifting back and forth. So let's go ahead and utilize them. Okay, that's a pretty good fit there. Just keep in mind, it doesn't have to be exact. Your clay, you could build on the clay if you don't like the way it lines up. Okay. That's pretty good. Now the next thing, we're going to insert our skull. The skull will come up to this point. Let me mark it. And we're going to have it enter this way. So when I insert it, it's going to come out about so. There for now. And our trunk. Let's take this here and take a measurement. I'm going to take this wire, straighten it out. Just to get the correct length. And I'm going to lay down my template here. And take a measurement which way it bends. So the tip of the trunk has a slight bent. Comes back up. It enters a skull right there. So let me turn this around so you can see what I'm referring to. I more or less shaped it how the trunk is. So based on that, I know it needs to enter right above where the tusks are going to go. So let's move over this way. What I could actually just do, insert this right above the other one. And that'll work more or less. And let me see, are you able to see this here? This is the new template I created for the skull and tusk. So it'll go something like this here with the tusk coming out. Later I will decide what I want the trunk to do. I haven't quite decided whether it be a trunk going up, trunk to the side, trunk over the tusk. I have not decided that yet. So this is what we have so far. The next video is going to deal with me building the legs, and I'll show you how I use Magic Sculpt to create these here. I think on one of the videos I've taken, in fact on the other armature, I took the existing legs that came for the horse and built on it to emulate the bones here. This time what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a straight, plain, maybe a 1/8 aluminum wire, bring it down to full length, and wrap the Magic Sculpt right over and create the actual bones without utilizing these here. That's it for now. Thank you for watching.